So I've cut my extra pieces for card 1, and this was my first attempt with some old paper. I can put that, I don't know, it's probably gonna go over there. Can you see it right there? Where? There we go. Okay. So there's very little pattern paper on this. And personally, I find the hardest part is picking the cardstock to go with it, especially when there's multiple layers. I find that very challenging. Okay, so I am going to start by lining up the middle one, and I'm going to use liquid glue for this. Let's see if mine is stuck. Nope, that's good. And I had a lot of glue squirting out, so I switched to the smaller tip. So diagonally there, just making sure you got to cover up those corners. Don't want those to show. Put that down. And then I have a scrap that is a 1/2 inch wide because I wanted to get these evenly spaced. And so I'm going to put the adhesive on the background here, which I used basic beige for this one. I was really torn trying to figure out if I wanted to use cloud cover or basic beige. Just pulling out the colors that are in the cardstock or the pattern paper. That's usually what I start with for picking colors. And when that doesn't work, I pull out my color cubes or color wheel even. I'll pull that out. Okay, there we go. We've got those on. Gonna set those aside to dry for a minute, and I am going to stamp the happy birthday on here. I'm going to use my Stamparatus for it, and I've already got the plates set up over here. There we go. So we'll put that in. I'm gonna use Secret Sea ink. So I think that'll show up well on the cloud cover cardstock. Oh, that turned out well. And this happy birthday, let's see, this one came from Words and Wishes. It's 2 separate, so you can put them on top of each other, next to each other, use different birthdays and happies. Okay, so we have that. I should probably dry this off before putting it away. And then I am not a fan of plain cardstock. Often it needs something. So we are going to put some texture on that. On this card, I used the 100 Acre Woods, but I think for this one, I might use my sunflowers. And I just ordered some more embossing folders. I'm very excited. I need some more choices. Let's see. Okay. So I'm just gonna pick a spot to put that in. I probably want not too much on the happy birthday. Let's see, that looks pretty good. It's like everything is coming to that spot. And this is a 3D embossing folder, so it needs a specialty plate. Run that through. And there we go. Not as boring as plain cardstock. I don't think I need to die cut anything for this one. So put that over to the side again. And then try and finish this off. Okay, that should be plenty dry enough now. And I will just trim the excess from the back. Just use whatever scissors you have. I've had these for probably 15 years. They're still going great. There we go. Lots of little pieces. Now I'm gonna layer that on Secret Sea. I kind of hope this color comes back in when they do a refresh of colors next year, because I really like this deep blue. Okay. Now I'm gonna put the cloud cover on the Secret Sea panel, and I just chose, because I was having a hard time with so many colors, I chose to do a Secret Sea card base also. Just one less color to pick. And you could do a subtle pattern paper here, but I couldn't pick one that I liked. Got our card base. And we can get that put on. Oops. That's why I didn't trim this right. Well, my card may end up being a tad smaller. Have you ever had that happen? Okay, so I'm putting it on there, and then I'm just gonna cut a tad off the card base. There we go. No one will know, except for you guys, because you watched me do it. Now we put this on, and I'm thinking I might use dimensionals for this one. I didn't on that. I do like to keep my cards flat-ish. I mean, I like to use dimensionals, but if there's a lot of layers, I'll often just keep it flat. Okay, and probably need some gems on that. I'll just put a few pearls on it. Whoops. There's card one. Card two. Okay, I went through and cut and picked paper again, going with the same color scheme. Basic beige is not my favorite, but it does go with the paper. It doesn't have white or vanilla in it. So here is the card I made the first time, and here's the sketch. So we're gonna start with the two pieces from A, and those are what I'm stamping on. And here's the 3 3/4 by 4.5 inch piece. And so we gotta line this up so that it covers the corner and it covers, and the end goes over. So we'll start with that. And for these things, I definitely like liquid glue. Okay. Gives me more leeway for putting it on. So there's that one. And I'm gonna use my spacer again. Oh, and I don't think I didn't cut enough of the paper. I forgot a different color. So I will have to cut with you. We're gonna put Secret Sea on here. Oh, that's not gonna be long enough. Oh, because that's the other one. Okay, we're gonna put cloud cover on there. Okay, there we go. Now I can do the card strip. Just gonna put some glue on my background. I'll put cloud cover on. So we got one here, and then we're gonna put one down here. Oops. Okay, there we go. And now we're gonna take our other strip and we're gonna see where that fits. I don't want the corners to be showing, and it's not a right angle, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just on here. So we'll put some liquid glue, or you can use tape runner, whatever you prefer. Put that on the back, and then make sure that the corners are off. There we go. And then now I can use my secret C. Put glue on here, add the secret C, making sure the corners are off. And then, because I'm right-handed, I don't know, just works better if I do it to the top. Okay. And we get our second one on. Make sure it's covered. There we go. Now this would be pretty good if you embossed it with a texture, although these might not get embossed because it's pretty thick. So we can cut off all these extra pieces. I'm gonna start over here. Thought long scissors would be easier. Need to do that one too. I find it easier to cut these off from the back. Someone taught me that years ago. There we go. Now we got lots of extra pieces. Let's throw those in the garbage. And we can assemble our card. I still have to stamp, but I can get the main parts put together. Cut that on a secret C, which it's this one, which is 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. Then this is gonna be a thick card, so I might not pop it up, although I did hear, so who knows, by the time I get to that point I might change my mind. Okay, and I do like how the borders on this are varied. They're not all the same size. I like when when cards are made like that. And then I've got a basic beige for my background, or my card base. I'll get that put on. There's the majority of our card. Now, just need to stamp. And I think I'm gonna do this in secret C again. So there we go. We'll cut that out. Move these off to the side. Can put that away. I don't know if I need that again. I'm using one of the Stitch Shapes circles for my happy birthday. It barely fits. You lose a little of the flourishes. And then this is from the Scalloped Blooms. I had these out from my class card, and I'm like, oh, this will be perfect for it. So there we go. We've got our happy birthday. We've got our layer. die cutting machine off to the side again. There we go. Put the birthday on the scalloped layer. And then, yeah, I'm gonna pop it up. Of course I'm gonna pop it up. It'd be crazy if I didn't pop it up. And we'll stick it right, do I want to center it more? I think on this side centered. There we go. And then we'll add a few pearls. Although they're white. Maybe I will use these, because the antique pearls, I don't like those as necessarily on white, but this isn't white. Let's use those. Okay, just gonna go with the ones, whoops, missed it, that I'm lower on. I'll take you and put you there. So there's card 2. Time for card 3. Okay, so I've got all my strips here. And I'm gonna use a Secret Sea card base to put them all on. But before I put them on the card base, I cut a piece of 3.5 by 3.5 basic white cardstock to mount them all on. Okay, first I want to arrange them how I think I like them. Okay, so I am actually gonna just put some adhesive on here. And because I never get things exactly right, I probably will need to trim something off. So I just wanted to get the first one on as straight as I could, leaving about a 1/2 inch off on the side. You might want to use liquid glue. I think it would be easier. Yeah, I'm gonna have to end up trimming that. Okay. So the next one, I'm going to move up by 1/4 inch. Oops, don't want that one. That's wrong. There we go. So, let's see. I want to put the 1/4 inch on one of my lines. Again, you don't need to be this exact. It's just me. So there we go. Then I'll take the next one, and I want it to be at the same point that the first one is. So I'm lining it up with that line there so that I can put it on and then butt it up against. And then I'll just keep doing that. I don't need this anymore. Just do that with my cutting mat. And just keep, nobody's gonna notice if they're slightly off. Nobody's gonna notice if they're completely off, but I will. Okay. And you can tell right there that I did not cut them exactly. Something was off. So I'm gonna take the adhesive off there to make it a little easier to cut. I've had this adhesive eraser for probably 15 years. These things will last forever. Okay, so I am going to get my guillotine out, I think. I'm gonna try and line it up with that edge. So that's pretty good. And now I'll try and get, must have still had some adhesive on it. There we go. Now I'm gonna line these two up with the edge and just get rid of that extra little piece of white. So I find it easier if I have one solid piece to put on the front than if I'm trying to put the staggered pieces on the front. You get to choose for yourself. Oh, I also wanted to put this, which, I must have read it wrong on that one. I put like 1/2 inch, but I put 1 inch and it's a 1/2 inch. So I should put this on before the backing. Do what I say, not what I do. So this is gonna be a little bit more of a challenge. Have to pick that up. Okay. So I'm gonna stick it about there because I want some room for my embellishment. And now I gotta get it back off so that I can cut that because I knew it wasn't gonna be exactly the right size. There we go. Now I can put it on my card base. That's about right. There we go. It's a very simple card to make when you want to use up a lot of scraps. Now I am going to stamp. I think I'll use Secret C again. It does make a nice coordinated set of cards when you do these. Happiest birthday wishes. I've also tried to coordinate all of my sentiments for this one too. Okay, I need to bring in my die cut machine. And this is from Phrases and Frames. And I'm also using the Phrases and Frames dies. And I am going to use the specialty impressions matte plate with this. So I am trying to get my tape into those little grooves so that after I die cut it, I can run it through again and make it really stand out. Okay, we got it die cut. Now I pop out the middle. I don't usually end up doing that one. And I don't need that one. Now I need the impressions plate, matte in my opinion, and the specialty plate. So I don't actually need this area, but I've got it taped down and I don't want to move it. So you put it face up with the base plate and the thin adapter. Then you put the impressions plate on. Careful not to move it. And then the specialty plate on top. And then run that through. And the impressions plate will squeeze out some. That's just what it does. Okay, we can take this off. We can take this off. And the lint roller works really well at cleaning that off too. And so here we have our die cut and embossed piece. Carefully. So you can see how much more depth it gives. And we are done with this for now. And let's see, I believe I popped the whole thing up because it's such a flat card. I wanted to do that. So I am going to need a few more of those. Let's see, here we go. I need the mini ones because this is thin. So I will put the mini ones in the 4 corners. Just want to make sure there's plenty of room. Oops. And then I can use this to line up the sentiment because it's got all those pokey bits. And by pokey bits, I mean these. I'm going to get reverse tweezers. Okay. So I'm centering on the Calypso Coral, and then I'm centering on this one. There we go. And now this needs some dimension. And I'm going to use my reverse tweezers again to try and get it in there centered. There we go. And then I'm going to add some more antique pearls. There we go. That was probably one of the quicker ones to make. I like that one. That was card 3. Now we're going to make card number 4. And I changed mine a little because I don't know why. I don't always like the offset. So I just centered mine and made it vertical. So we've got our paper. I also did change the size of some of the layers, and I'll try and mention that as I go through. But I think I'm going to assemble first, and then I'll do the stamping. So I definitely want to use liquid glue because these are only 1/8 of an inch larger. So we get my glue out. So this is 4.5 by 1.5. And she has on her sheet to make it 4 5/8 by 1 3/4, but I did 4 5/8 by 1 5/8, I think. Yeah, that should be what it is. I just did 1/8 bigger than what the pattern is. So it's got a really tight little border. And for that, I definitely like to use liquid glue. We'll get that on here. Got to make sure my glue is hitting the rubberized part at the bottom. Okay, line that up. And we've got our tiny little border. And I'm going to emboss this panel, but I don't know if I liked the sunflowers I did on here. I might do the stones and vines, but yeah, I'm gonna do this one instead. So we'll put that through. And that needs the specialty plate again. It's a lot going on my desktop here. Since it's not a directional, it doesn't actually need to be in there too straight, but I do want to make sure it's in the embossing part. There we go. Oops. Don't need this either. Okay, run that through. There we go. And I think that is the only thing I need the machine for on this one. So I'll put that off to the side again. Okay. So we've got our embossed piece. And I'm going to layer that on Calypso Coral here, and I might pull out this one to get a lot more glue out at once. adding that. And I made this a smaller piece too because I like the thin borders. So on here, she has it as 4 by 5 1/4. I did 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So I just took 1/8 off of it. And we are gonna put that on the card base. Card makes me think of the Chicago Bears. The reddish orange and the dark blue. I'm a Bears fan. Which is why I have a hard time making anything with yellow and green. Can't stand the Packers. So I'm sorry if you like them. I think I will go with this too. Granted, I'll end up with some ooze. Okay, stick that on. See if I can get that. There we go. Get the next one on, and then I'm gonna put a block on this so that the glue has time to dry. I think that's straight. Let's fix that one maybe a little. Oop, too much. Too much, a little less. It's because I said I didn't like the Packers. There we go. Now, set that aside to dry. Put that glue away. And now I'm gonna stamp my focal image. There we go. And I set this all up ahead of time. Let's make sure, whoops, yeah. I am going to stick a little adhesive on the back so that it stays in place. There we go. Okay, and I need some memento because I am going to color this in. Give it another on the flowers. There we go. We'll see how blends work on basic beige. I don't know if I've ever done it on basic beige before. We'll see. Okay. Get that off. I can then I'm going to heat this for a little bit. I want to make sure that it's dry before I start with the blends. And I need my scrap paper. There's my scrap paper for coloring. I'm going to start with the insides on Calypso Coral, just to give it some dark and maybe a little shade. I'm not great at coloring, and I'm not sure how basic beige is going to work for coloring because it's definitely doesn't have the coating on it like the white does, so it might bleed more. I'm hoping not. So there's my flower. I got a little outside there, but I don't know if the color lifter would work on this paper because this is not really what you would normally do Stampin' Blends on. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do liquid glue again just to make sure because I don't want to have to stamp and color it again. We'll get that centered. Okay, this should be good now. And then this already has a lot of dimension on it. I don't know if you can tell. Just, there's a lot of layers. So I am going to just put this on flat. And see if I can center that. it straight. Oh, that's pretty good. And then we'll get out. What did I do with them? Oh, there they are. Whoop, they got stuck in the front of my bin. I am going to add, I think I'll take out one of the big ones this time. And the medium and a small. So there's card number 4. On to card 5. This was my practice one. I did all of this on a panel, but I did it as a 4 by 5 1/4 panel, and I don't like how this is on the bottom. So I decided to make it a 4 by 4 panel, and the scallops on the bottom will just be separate. So I'm gonna start with that. There's our pieces. Put that away. And I am going to put this on the bottom first, because that has to be, everything has to be lined up on the bottom. I can trim the top, but I cannot trim the bottom. Okay, put that on. Lining it up with the edge as best I can. Looks like I will definitely be trimming. Move it down a little bit there. Okay, come on. I want you straight. There. That looks better. Okay, that's straight. As straight as I can get it at least. And now figure out where I want the patterns, because I don't like two busy patterns together. I could do this, but then those blend in together. So I'm probably going to do it this way. We'll get the glue on these. And then line it up. Let's see. I might want to make sure I'm lined up with the white and not the actual bottom pattern. There we go. Our next piece. I love when they have coordinating colors on the back of the paper that are just neutral-ish. It's great when you need to flip the paper over to go with the other pieces. This one. And yeah, that one I definitely cut longer. Oh, it does sometimes make me want to get the SVG files, which I have before. I have bought those. It just, I don't know how to make them work with specifically a 6 by 6 piece of paper. I'm not that exact with putting it on the mat and cutting things out. Now I am going to use my guillotine, my mini guillotine here, because I want, actually I probably should do that first. Okay, that's pretty good. And then I can cut off the tiny little piece there. And tiny little piece there. So that's good. And I am going to stick that on my card base, because then we need to cause these, punch these out to be half of a 1-inch circle. And that is more challenging. There we go. Okay, now Stampin' Up! Does not have a 1-inch die or punch. So I pulled out one that I have had for who knows how long, 20 years maybe. I mean, it's still a whale tail, but it works. And I've got these little flags that are actually 1 inch wide. So what I'm gonna do is, using the sticky end, I'm adding my little piece, and then I'm gonna stick it in the punch. And I just wanna make sure I'm lined up so that the edges are getting punched and are hopefully close to 1 inch. And then I punch that. And so then we have our little half circle. And I will stick it right there. And I'm not gonna attach it yet because they don't all come out exactly the right size, and I kind of have to tweak them. Okay, it occurred to me that using a bigger size Post-it would work better because I kept getting the edges stuck. Oh, but yes, that worked better. Okay, so now those are actually pretty good. I'm gonna use liquid glue to put them on and try and keep them in place. Oh, probably gonna want to use my reverse tweezers. That might make it a little easier. And just button it up against this. I'm gonna do the outside edges first so that I get it balanced at least. I mean, if there are any gaps, I can spread them out. Whoops. Okay, there's that one. And then let's see, will there be any gaps? A little bit, but not too bad. We'll do this one next. And then this one. Oops, got a little bit too much glue in that one. Well, that's pretty good. Now I just need to do my sentiment. And I picked the Have a Fabulous Day from the Phrases and Frames stamp set. Still using Secret C. Everything's coordinating so far. And then we just need to die cut. Somehow I think I'm zoomed in a little bit more. Sorry about that. I don't know how I did that, but hopefully everything was still on screen. So we'll move this up so that you can see. And then we'll get this one. I'm gonna tape the sentiment because I always assume it's gonna move. There we go. And we are almost done with all 5 of these cards that I'm doing in this video. It's gonna be a long one. Okay, move that off to the side. Glue this on. There we go. And I'm gonna pop this one up. I didn't pop up my original, but I'm gonna pop this one. Then I thought the scalloped frame around the sentiment went well with the scalloping on the bottom. Then, there it is. We'll do some more antique pearls. So there's card 5. Thanks for joining me.